right, representing the University of California, head coach Mike Montgomery and junior guard Alan Crabb.
Highlights were a little short, I noticed. Did you get all from all last season on there? About it, Dave?
Yeah,
okay,
we were looking
good.
for one for you, but couldn't find one.
Couldn't find it. Well, I learned a long time ago that the later you are in the afternoon, the better you did last year. So at least I'm glad to be here at this time. You know, we were a little disappointed to be so close last year and have it in our grasp and not be able to sustain it down at the end and win it, because I really value conference championships. I know how hard they are. So now we're to start back from scratch. You don't know how many chances you're going to get. Hopefully we can put ourselves in a position to do it again. But we've got a good nucleus of players back. If you look, the obvious guys with Allen and Justin Cobbs, but you know, Brandon Smith has started for us the year we won a championship. Richard Solomon has been a starter for us. David Kravish. So we really have 5 guys that have started for us at one time. So we've got the pieces, I think, to be competitive. I think we've got the pieces to be successful. Now it's just the job to put them together and get everybody on the same page and be the kind of team that it takes to win big. And that's going to be what our goal is right now. We've got to figure out what each person has to do to be successful relative to a whole group, a whole team, and we need to get one player back from injury that'll help us, and then as soon as we have that, we'll have, I think, 8, 9, 10, 11 players that could contribute.
We'll go ahead and take questions. Question here on the left in the middle.
Hi, Coach. What has the academic time off done for Richard Solomon? How has it affected him? What kind of a player can we expect to see from him this year?
I think you're going to be delighted with Richard Solomon. It was a tough deal for him. It was a tough deal for our team. He was a starter and he became ineligible, which, you know, really wasn't what any of us wanted. And but Richard didn't blame anybody. He took responsibility, which I thought was the first step. And I think Richard's really grown up. I think that in a lot of ways that might be the best thing that ever happened to him, because he's much more mature. He's taking care of his business. You know, I think before, like a lot of youngsters, he's probably a little immature, thought more about himself than what maybe was out there for him as a team and as a part of a team. So I think you're going to be delighted with Richard's progress. I think you're going to see a much more mature individual. That's not to say that he won't dunk and pound his chest every now and again, but I think by and large, he's a guy that has really grown up and wants to be a part of a team and appreciates his opportunity at Cal.
Question in the middle.
Coach, you just said it was unfortunate to lose Richard Solomon, but it did give David Kravish a chance to play a little bit more. How did he use that momentum into this summer, and where does he stand today?
Well, poor David. I mean, we would often remark that he was just out there just trying to figure out what he was doing. He was 195 pounds, if that, when we got him. He lifted hard, got up to about 2.7, 2.8, got the flu in Las Vegas, lost 12 pounds, never got it back. So he's 220 right now, and he looks a lot better. It's not like you're going to appreciably notice all the muscles, but he's stronger, and he's going to be a good player. We're trying to get him to get the disposition to dominate, because he's actually very skilled. David's a kind of kid that doesn't like to make a mistake, doesn't necessarily want to be in the forefront of everything. We're trying to get him to take a more active role. But I think David now is in a position to be a real quality Pac-12 big guy, and will get better as the year goes on. We've pushed him. We've tried to tell him, Dave, you are more capable than you allow yourself sometimes. And I think he understands that, and I think his teammates need to push him a little bit as well.
Back over here on the left.
A question for Alan. Who is going to take the leadership, emotional leadership role that Jorge Gutierrez had last year? We're all quite used to seeing him play, but we're wondering who's going to fill that void.
Honestly, we all know that nobody's going to be able to completely fill Jorge's shoes and what he left here at Cal, but I just feel like it just leaves opportunity for the upperclassmen to step up into their role, to be leaders on and off the court. So I just feel like I guess we're just gonna have to leave it up to the upperclassmen, the veterans who've had experience and knows what to expect from his team throughout the year. So I'll just have to go with the upperclassmen.
In the middle, over here on the right side.
Piggybacking off that last question, Alan, do you feel a personal need to be more vocal with this team?
Definitely. I feel like it's an opportunity for me to step up. I feel like my first 2 years I really didn't have to say anything because we've had, upperclassmen to fill that void. And I just feel like with that opportunity now, it just allows me to step up, in a lot of ways, not just being a leader, but, just to lead by example as well. And like you said, that vocal part can just be a little extra step for me to becoming a leader.
Back left. Oh, I'm sorry, we're left side here.
Coach, a year ago down in Los Angeles, we talked to you quite a bit about the health concerns. How are you now? And just having gone through that, how's it changed you as a coach?
How do I look? Pretty good, huh? No, seriously, it was a little bit. I mean, at this time last year, I think I was 10, 12 days out of surgery and a pretty good shock. I was very, very fortunate, like anybody that's had a health scare. I mean, it was pretty much get it out, nowhere else, doesn't show back up. So for all intents and purposes, didn't happen, didn't exist. I don't feel anything as a result of that. I just think we get so wrapped up in coaching and everything that sometimes you fail to recognize all the other things of value that you deal with every day, the kids that you're coaching, your family, and everything else. But unfortunately, it hadn't changed me that much. I'm still the nutcase I always was. But it was certainly a wake-up call for me, but I'm fine.
On the far left in the back.
Sarah Cazell, Pac-12 Digital. Coach, we have a question for you from the Chinese sports media site Hupu.com. They ask, from 2008 to 2010, you had a notable Chinese player, Max Zhang. The site is wondering what you found different in the play between a young Asian player and a young U.S. player.
Well, Max unfortunately left our team before he should have. Max was just starting to come into his own. I think the biggest thing, and this would be for any foreign athlete, particularly from a country that English is not a second language, is Max and English were not exactly synonymous. So it was difficult for him to understand what we were talking about. We don't speak really English, we speak slang in the United States. So when we say something, Max would tend to take things literally, and sometimes you could see the confusion on his face when he'd say something about in the way that we talk. Terrific young person, really wanted to please, and I think that again is part of their culture. The fact that he was 7'3" plus didn't hurt him at all. But really, Max was on the verge of being a very good player. He was starting to be a factor for us, and it was really unfortunate that he was kind of manipulated into going back when he did without finishing his degree. But I just think their culture is different. It's no more different than anything else. Basketball has become bigger in China, for sure. It's something they really want and they focus on. But just from a cultural standpoint, it is way different than it is here in the United States, and it's a huge adjustment for those kids.
Again, we're right here in the left side in the middle.
Coach, what can you tell us about your freshmen, Wallace and Johnson? How much are they going to play this year?
Well, we've got a lot of veterans, and the way I've always kind of looked at it, if you're good, if your program's good, if it's solid, if you're doing it the way I think you should do it, freshmen typically shouldn't have to come in and be in that major of a role. It's a great opportunity for them to learn. We're a little short in the guard line, so Tyron is going to play, and he looks like he's capable of helping. He's picked up the offense. He's picked up all the things we're doing quicker than the other young people. He's very competitive. He's long, and he surprises with the things that he's able to do. So I think he's going to play a major factor because guard-wise, You know, Ricky Kreklow has been out with a broken foot, so Ty has been one of 2 or 3 guards that we've had every day, and he's benefited from that opportunity. Khalil Johnson is a little further behind from the standpoint of understanding the offense and where he needs to go and how he needs to get there. But yesterday in our little scrimmage, he shot lights out. He really can shoot the ball, but we've just got to make sure to try to get him in the right spot. Like most kids, you know, coming into an institution like Cal is not a cakewalk. I mean, there's a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of stuff. It's harder in every way than what you've been used to in high school as seniors. So they will progress nicely throughout the year, I think, but I would say that Wallace would be the one freshman you're going to see quite a bit of.
We'll take one more question.
Mike,
On the right.
have you noticed if the new TV deals and the exposure coming with those has resonated with recruits yet, or is it still too early in that process?
I don't think they have any idea about that yet. I think what that does for you in the long run is it opens other parts of the country perhaps to kids that didn't know about your school or our league or different things, that all of a sudden every time they turn on television, if they want, there you are. So you're going to get people that are going to get interested in you that probably in the past had not known anything about the schools because our television coverage was pretty poor. And I think that's going to be the main thing. The best example, I guess, that I can give you about that was when we went to the Final Four at Stanford. We looked the next year at all the recruits, you know, the top 100, and our name was on 30 lists. And that never would have happened, but because they had seen us, I mean, they didn't even know we had classes at Stanford, but because we're in the Final Four, they thought that meant we were good in basketball, so they're going to be one of their 5 or 8 or 10 that appeared on a list. And that's what exposure does for you. They are aware of who you are. They might watch Alan Crabb, for example, and like the way he plays and maybe likes the freedom that he has to shoot the ball and when he's open and say, wow, that's me, I can shoot the ball. You know, that'd be a great place for me to go to school. And you can't do it without seeing it. So I think that's going to happen with this new package as time goes on.
All right, we'll take one more question. We got one in the back? No? Okay. Oh, go ahead, Tom.
Coach, how do you see the other teams that who are expected to contend for the title this year? What's your impression of these teams?
Well, I haven't seen them. A lot of what's being projected is based on, I'd almost call it NBA upside. You know, the young freshmen coming into Arizona, UCLA that people are so excited about, and I think rightly so. I mean, they both just had terrific recruiting years, and I'd seen most of those kids. And they're legitimately very, very good players in this league. So certainly, you know, Arizona's loaded. I don't think there's any question about that. UCLA gets their kids eligible. They're awfully good as well. I think they got probably really, you know, well, they're really good as well. So a lot of it is being projected on what might be or what should be based on potential. And you know, of course, you expect it to happen, but until it does, we'll wait and see. I think the league has gotten a lot better. I really do. I think Stanford's going to be very good. Those kids that were sophomores that maybe had some injury problems last year, now juniors, they're good. And, you know, Randall coming into that situation with some other guys. So there's a lot of people to like in this league. I think the continuity of the coaches has really helped. You've got good coaches that now are in the league, that know how this thing works, that have gotten into their institutions and know how to operate. So I think the league's going to be a lot better from top to bottom. So it should be pretty exciting.
All right, gentlemen, that'll do it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.